If you're overwhelmed, behind, and mentally drained going into the new year or any season in your life at any time of the year, these are the 5 things that you need to do before in order to reset your life. I come from an engineering systems thinking background and I am in my 30s, so I'm not coming at you from the perspective of a newbie who has the ideal single life, who doesn't go through the chaos of regular day-to-day life in which you have relationships, marriages, finances, school, work, burnout, and low capacity. This is about principles and methods that work for a holistic and real life. Because here's what most productivity experts won't tell you, that overwhelm has nothing to do with laziness. It is unstructured input. And today I'm going to break down 5 steps that pull you out of overwhelm using systems and not motivation. So let me start with a category that's probably causing you the most stress right now, because if you skip this step, the other 4 won't work. Overwhelm gets worse the harder that you try to fix it, and here is why. You're trying to stabilize everything at once. Think of it like juggling. If you have 5 different tasks, the possibility of everything falling apart is a lot easier. But if you only have 1 and then you add 2 once you get better, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then everything works out simultaneously. And here's the reality, and research shows this: your brain cannot manage that. You're not AI, no matter how much you want. In my busiest seasons, from my early 20s into my 30s, from school, work, travel, business, newborn, kids, marriage, I learned something really fast. The fastest way out of chaos is to stabilize one category at a time. So on a day-to-day basis, this means my physical space. It keeps on being that one category. So if I wake up in the morning and I clean up my space, or if I take care of myself and I get ready for the day, my mind feels clearer almost instantly, even though it has nothing to do with like meditating or journaling or praying. You have to stabilize that one category in your life on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on an annual basis, and then everything calms down. Stop trying to fix your entire life and start stabilizing that category of your life that's causing you the most pain right now. If you're having a hard time with figuring out where to start and how to go about it step by step to figure out exactly what this one category in your life is, I have a habit systems planner that will show you step by step. I have one side where I show you how I do it myself and then give you a free space on the next page so that you can do it yourself. So once you start stabilizing that one thing or one area of your life, then you need a system that survives even the bad days. So let's talk about that. Majority of people's routines depend on you having a good day, the ideal plan. And they say that expectation is a source of suffering, and this is definitely one of them. And that is why every single bad day turns into a bad week and then a bad month. Life with work, family, and school will never be predictable, but the fact that you believe that is probably why you're having such a hard time. You need a baseline that survives chaos. So that's exactly what I built for my life. And I call it the low energy mode. So in my planner, I have a low energy habit system where I built my bare minimum days and everything changed. So on my worst day, if I'm sick, the kids are, needing attention, I had no sleep, there's a work emergency, I need to finish a deadline, I have a system for it. When it comes to the body, I have to brush my teeth. I have to. And this is a daily routine that I can't be without. Like, I feel so weird without it. With the soul, I have to pray 5 times a day, and if I don't, I'm gonna feel guilty about it. With my house, it's the kitchen and the living room. With 3 kids, 5 and under, that's usually where the chaos comes from. So having these daily low energy habits, having these listed and like categorized and going through it and figuring out what is my lowest thing that I can do in order to feel human. So consistency comes from systems that survive chaos, not systems that depend on your energy. And the faster that you can stop depending on energy, inspiration, and motivation, the better that you'll be. Because as a human being, and I have this in my knowledge hub, like I had to read a book on willpower for so many pages in order to understand this. Your energy is not dependable. Your motivation is not dependable. And you need systems in order to help you, especially in a world that's not just like eat, breathe, go to sleep, right? Primitive. That's how it used to be in the olden days. Now it's not like that anymore. Your smarts are your survival and your thriving. But even your bare minimum days fail if you're drowning in input. So let's talk about that real quick. Like I said, I come from a systems background. And one of the biggest things that I learned was this graph, and I vividly remember it from class, in which you have input, process, and output. And a lot of the time, especially because I worked with hydraulics, water systems, when it comes to water resources, is that the more water that you put in, the more you have to process, and the more it will will impact the output. So when it comes to life, why do you feel overwhelmed even when your schedule isn't that bad? You don't really have that much to balance. It's because your overwhelm isn't about the tasks, it's about the input. You're carrying alerts, expectations, emotional labor, guilt, messages, and you have so many mental tabs open. Your brain is drowning in invisible input. So I'll tell you about 2 seasons of my life. Right after college, I was working full time. I was co-founding a company, a startup. I was married. I was studying Islamic thought on the weekends, okay, for 2 years. And also you had a nightlife because we were living in the DMV. So we were out, doing things, a lot of activities, a lot of friends. So my input was suffocating me, okay? And I'll tell you exactly how I dealt with it. So I would sit there and I'm like, how do I gain back my time? Because I feel like I have absolutely no time. And as the engineering mind will tell me, it is to track, edit, and reiterate. So I started finding out it was how much time I was using on social media. Somehow it would go up to 7-8 hours. That's when I started doing my social media detox, and I've been doing this for a very long time. So I took it from about 7 to 9 hours down to 3 hours, and I could finally breathe. And another point in my life was when I started having kids back to back, and I went from having an apartment to having a house. There are so many rooms to clean, so much more mess to clean because of the kids, which keep on messing it up every single day, and so much mouth to feed. And it was just becoming too much. And that is when these systems that I've set up, for instance, I turned off all of my notifications. I completely reduced all of my decision-making processes. So I have a meal prep process as well as I have a capsule wardrobe. Okay, I will be wearing the same outfit. I'm sorry, okay? I don't have energy for that. I'm turning into these businessmen, right? When it was Steve Jobs, he always wears like one black shirt. Yeah, that's how it is, okay? Automating the bills, I don't have to think about it. My favorite one, honestly, is my physical clutter. I have a minimalist home. I have reduced my cleaning by over 40%. Less stuff that you have, the less you have to clean. I also focused on what was my energy sucker, and that was the startup job, which was so heavy, so mentally heavy, and there were so many meetings, and I went towards the whole path of solo entrepreneur. This was me editing my input, and when I tell you my overwhelm dropped by over half, okay, without even changing any of my schedule, just by controlling what was coming at me, I completely changed my life. So if you reduce your input, overwhelm will drop almost instantly, even if nothing else changes. Now that you have a clear process, a mental map of everything that should be and how it should be going, you need to build momentum. Have you ever noticed that life feels stuck, even when you're trying, okay, weekly, a month in? This is because you're chasing transformation instead of building momentum through routines and habits. When I was juggling everything, kids, faith, business, house, cleaning, all of these things, okay, it was so much, I was like cracking under that burden. I noticed this one change that I needed to make. I stopped chasing my to-do list and I picked one micro win in every area of my life per day. So I started focusing on timeline instead. So how this works is I let my subconscious habits lead me instead of using my conscious mind in order to decide what to do every single day. What will give me the most life? Like, what do I need to do so I don't feel like a zombie? So using my habit planner and then my habit tracker, I started listing all of the habits that I needed to do, because about 40% of everything that you do on a day-to-day basis is repetitive. And I started checking them off. I started training myself that way. So I would give myself micro wins, like brushing my teeth, putting on deodorant, getting dressed for that day, which is in the body category. And then in the soul category, praying 5 times and doing my dhikr, which is like remembrance and thankfulness. The things that made me feel human and helped me avoid that icky feeling. And I stopped focusing on the extra fluffy stuff. I had a life to focus on, but I didn't completely lose myself. And after 30 days of doing that, and this is in my daily habits category, these are the essentials that I need, especially these micro wins. Yes, I am tracking if I brush my teeth, because you do forget when you're really busy. Everything shifted. I wasn't in chaotic mode anymore. It has been so long. I've been practicing for so long, I can't even associate myself with that word anymore. I became that person that showed up for herself even on bad days. My confidence became stable because I kept on showing up for myself, and your brain is always keeping track, and I have clarity. And here's what really shook me. These micro wins started stacking. So I started having more energy, more time, and attention for what I call high energy habits. So this is working for long hours of time, or studying one line of tadabbur for like hours, and like going and analyzing, which is my joy. I was telling my friend, I was like, I need, time for myself. And she's like, yeah, you could just take the car and go shopping and do these things. I'm like, no, I just need time to work and study. That's what brings me joy. So your confidence and clarity does not come from dramatic routines, nor does it come from boring routines. What this means is what needs to be taken care of is taken care of, so I can focus on things that make me happy. And you're building space for that. They come from stacking those low energy micro wins that prove to yourself that you are the type of person who shows up for themselves. And more importantly, life changes. It's constantly changing. The only constant in life is change. So what that means is some days you will have low energy and you won't have that time or attention, but another day you will. And this is the last step. Even if you have micro wins, it will all fall apart without a weekly system that holds them together. Why does life feel like it's just one long reaction? It might be because you are planning daily and not weekly. Your weeks control your life more than your day ever will. So I personally have a weekly reset. And this was such an important part of my habit tracker, because if I can see the whole week, if I have a bad day and I'm not filling in the task, then I can look forward and it keeps me in line. And I make sure to start with a Monday and I list a couple of things that are key for my sanity. So these are the things that I've added. Number one is a focus on work, family. For instance, on the weekends is family time or work day. On the morning, what do I do? What is the focus? What is the theme so that it can guide me? The other thing that I put on there is the weather. It sets up what kind of activity you can do. You don't really have to plan it, but if it's 30 degrees versus 70 degrees, it's a big difference, especially down here in the South. The next thing is meals. If you have to feed multiple mouths, this is going to be the part of you that drains you. I'm still working on that part because we just added a third child. The other thing that I do is I track. I have a place where I list down how the day went. What did I work on? What collapsed? What was the mess today? Because it will happen. It will happen. Be ready for it. And I make sure to end that by looking at my daily, weekly, and monthly habits. So many parts of your life are going to be on repeat. And if you are constantly thinking about that and trying to keep it together, you're just draining your energy for no reason. So you cannot change your life daily, but you can redirect it weekly. And that is how overwhelmed, busy people stay on track without burning out. Well, minimizing the burnout. Let's be real, right? So let's bring it all together. If you do these 5 things, you can beat overwhelm. And if you need any sort of guidance with this before I list it, make sure to check out the Habit Systems Planner because it will guide you through this. So number 1 is to stabilize just one category of your life. Don't put yourself everywhere. Focus on one area, the lowest common denominator. That is going to be key. That is what's drowning you. Number 2, build your bare minimum days or your low energy habit system, because life will come at you. It is going to happen and you need to have something that you can rely on. After that, make sure to reduce your input. If you put in a lot, you have to process a lot and you're going to have a lot of unpredictable outcomes. You have control over the input. It might be hard to have self-control, but its rewards are almost instant. After that, stack your micro wins. Tracking if you put on your deodorant or brushing your teeth can give you so much confidence, and that's where confidence comes from, especially if you've wrecked it by promising yourself high things and never achieving it. And the last one is to focus on a weekly reset rather than a daily reset. Give yourself more space so that you can have more structure, so that you can actually balance it out. It's the average that matters, not the day. And if you do this, your overwhelm will finally have a structure. And here's what I need you to hear. Overwhelm is not your identity. It is a systems problem. And systems can be rebuilt. You're not broken, you're not behind, you're not failing. You just need a framework that survives real life. And that's what most people don't give you. And that is what these steps are meant to give you so that you can have the life that you want. If you want help implementing these 5 steps with guidance, my Habit Systems Planner and Tracker would be a great fit for you. I outline them and I give you examples side by side. If you want more on systems and how to build them so that you can have a life that you want, make sure to check out my last video in which I talk about my 20s and how I structure them so that I can have a peaceful life that allow me to have a marriage that feels grounded, a work that feels purposeful, and a home that feels stable. But until next time, peace.